Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host Muhammad Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co-author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this special episode, we have our special guest, Dr. Laura Sicola. Dr. Laura is the host of Speaking to Influence, the Communication Secrets to the C-Suites podcast. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Laura Sicola. Dr. Laura Sicola, welcome.
Thank you so much, Siddique. It's an honor to be invited.
Thank you so much. I like your background. It's so amazing. I am wearing that color. You have the same one on your. Did you steal or use? Oh no, I think you were wearing my color too. So
Yes, I think we've had a good mental connection. We were ready for the partnership today, so we've worn each other's colors.
oh, okay, folks, you are watching this. There's a no conversation before this, and we have
Nope.
not spoken which color to wear and nothing like this. There's a universe. There's something is about to happen. You are here for a treat. Let's get started. Laura, where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to start this Speaking to Influence podcast?
To start the podcast itself was actually over the last several years, because my message, all the work that I do is about helping leaders be more inspiring and better able to connect, better able to hear yes, by being more effective communicators. And as opposed to just doing one-on-one executive coaching or doing team trainings, so many people, when I was doing speaking engagements, would say, you need to have your voice out there. You need more people to be able to hear this message, because we're all bad communicators. And that's where, we like to think we're clear in our minds. We know exactly what we mean, and we know exactly what we want to say, but somehow when we say it, it doesn't always translate as well. And, we all have those conversations with someone and you think, how did you get that from what I said? Or, how did you understand? So trying to help close the gap between what someone thinks they say and what someone else thinks they hear is really where we make great progress in society and as leaders. And that's what we wanted to bring to more people through the podcast.
Oh, this is a great. So, why this effective communication? We are talking about effectively communicating to someone so they get exactly the meaning what you had it inside. Why is that important for someone to have that skill at a corporate level and
Sure. But leadership is a funny thing. We spend so much time talking about what is leadership? What does it really mean? And in my definition, truthfully, leadership is an image. That's all. Because you can be the boss. You can be the CEO, the CFO. And if people are only following you because they have to, because because you outrank them on the company org chart and they want to get paid, then you're just the boss. You're not a leader because nobody's really following. But you could be an intern in the mailroom at the same time. And if people recognize that you have an inherently followable characteristic, there's something about you that is trustworthy, that's confident, that's inspiring, that makes people take notice and want to pay attention when you speak, you're a natural leader, even though your role doesn't actually reflect that yet. But you're pretty sure that it will. So my job is to make sure that you're not just up here or on your way up here to be the boss, that you get there because people inherently want to follow you. They appreciate your message and they appreciate your vision, and they want to get on board with you to achieve the result in that vision because they share it with you. That's where true success, loyalty, longevity, and legacy are found.
So I'm learning so much. I don't know why we should be talking to each other almost every day because this is very effective. This is very effective. Yeah. So Laura, however, what are the top 3 missteps to avoid when it comes to communication so we can learn the common mistakes because you have experienced so much, not only yourself and dealing with so many corporates?
I think one of the biggest pitfalls that many leaders fall into is what I like to call the expert's curse. And the expert's curse is where you know so much about your area of expertise, whether it's your industry or maybe from your vertical. If you're up from finance, you know about numbers and money. If you come from sales, you think in those terms. If you are an engineer, you think in those terms. That when you need to talk to someone else who either outranks you or is just not coming from that same world, you go into too much detail. And you think that they need to know and understand everything around it, or you assume that they don't. And so you tell them, or you assume they do, and they don't understand, nor do they want to. But you keep dumping on data and information background. And it's like drinking from a fire hose for them. They just want you to get to the point. How do you figure out what 90% that you want to say they don't need to hear, nor do they want to hear? And how do you figure out what the real core message is that's going to make them understand exactly what you need them to understand so that they give you the response that you want, which starts with, oh, I see. Okay, let's continue. And if you can get down to that, that's the core. But you have to stay away, resist the urge to fall into the expert's curse. That's one of the biggest challenges most people face.
Okay, I asked for three. You said one.
Yes. So, okay, there are many others, frankly, from communication. One is assuming that from an intercultural perspective, that everybody thinks in the same way. Their American business culture is known for having what's sort of if you think about it like a triangle, they want you to start with the main idea. Give me the basic point. Give me the conclusion first. Then give me all the extra detail around it. Many other cultures, East Asian cultures, and of course I'm generalizing greatly, but many others are more like the inverted triangle where they want the background. They want the details first. And then eventually they get to the main point. They think, well, how can I give you my conclusion if you don't understand anything behind it? You won't know how I got there. So I have to give all of that to you. And you don't realize that when there's that disconnect with regard to expectations and order of information, an American who hears the communication in this order is thinking, where are you going with this? This is way too much detail. Why do I need all this detail? What is your point? Whereas an American talking to someone else from that other perspective, they just go, bam, here you go. And the other audience is thinking, how can you just hit me with that? Like, here's what you should do. Why would I do that? I don't have any background on this. To help me understand where you came from. So do some research into the culture of the audience to understand how much background they need and why, and in which order to present information. So I think that's another one. And then a third one, and I'll give you a vocal cue, is that there's a lot of people don't realize that the sound of your voice as you're delivering changes the listener's interpretation of who you are and what you mean by what you're saying. So using an authoritative voice, and the easiest thing to focus on is no run-on sentences. That when people talk, they kind of talk in one very long sentence for, okay, we've got 2 minutes for this answer. I'm going to now talk for 2 minutes. And at the end, maybe I'll put one period because then I'm done. But that doesn't help the listener organize their thoughts. That doesn't make you sound clear and sure about what your specific points are. Make your point and let your voice drop. End of a sentence. Then make your next point and let it drop. There's the end of another sentence. It's you sound organized, you sound authoritative and confident, and they easily understand what you mean. Most people don't do that. Avoid the run-on sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your three. No pressure.
No, this is the great information. I think I fail on the third one many times. I do that mistake myself too. When we are short on time, just run through the whole thing. That's what you're saying. Don't do this. Siddique, don't do this. Don't do this.
We all fall into that, especially when we see the time running down and it's like, oh my gosh, I have 5 more minutes of information, but only 2 more minutes on the clock. So let me try to get. Be strategic. Don't lose your cool.
Definitely. Laura, in a world of communication, we are talking about a human communication, effective communication. I'm sure you have seen so many failures where they just failed altogether only based on a communication. So what's the single most professional failure you like to share with us? And what did you learn from that? And how did you recover from it?
Professional failures of mine or of clients that I've worked with to try to help them overcome?
whatever you have, your choice.
So I think that from I'll look at both sides. On the one hand, for clients, I will only call it temporary failures, because
Yeah.
the whole point is that when I'm brought in to work with somebody, it's because they are technically qualified.
Mhm.
They are the technical experts in their field, but there's something about the way that they communicate that is missing the mark. They're not having the impact, the influence that they need to have on others. So they're failing on a regular basis, and they're being frustrated, and they're not getting the results for themselves or their company. So once I come in and I can help them see where they're not effectively representing what is most important to them, then everything changes, and they make that transition to more effective and more inspiring leadership. So my goal is to help them get past those failures. For me, I think the bigger challenges are that, I am what I like to call an accidental entrepreneur. I never expected to be a business owner. I was a linguist, and I was a professor, and my world was all about looking at how people speak, the impact that it has, how speech works in the brain, why people hear and interpret things that differently. And so when I transitioned into using that for coaching purposes, I didn't know anything about business. So trying to build one from scratch, I can't even call it a learning curve. I would call it a learning cliff. So just trying to figure out how to start. And this was 12 years ago. Of course, it's been quite a while now. So I think I've gotten the hang of a good amount, but just little things, frankly, like not doing it all myself. There's one thing about bootstrapping if you're a startup, but
Yeah.
there's a difference between strategic bootstrapping versus just trying to do everything on your own. I have no business doing accounting and bookkeeping. I have no business doing like social media marketing and strategy. That's for somebody else. Pick somebody to do it, let them do their jobs. That's an important investment. You can't do everything by yourself, or you will not have a business. So for anybody on the smaller business end, find a way, decide what you absolutely should not be doing for your own business, and outsource.
Yeah, wonderful, great wisdom. So Laura, let's talk about enough talk about mistakes and missteps, pitfalls to avoid. Now we are talking about your success secrets, other side of the table. So what are your top 3 success secrets, especially in last 12 years as as an entrepreneur?
I think part for me is the importance of practicing what I preach, because my work is in communication and in speaking to influence, as you can see, the branding, the book, the podcast, all that kind of stuff. And this is what I help people do: be more influential through the way that they speak. It's crucial that I practice what I preach when I'm on stage, when I'm on a podcast or on video like this, or when I'm just working one-on-one. People have to see that I model for them what it is that I'm talking about. And when they recognize how it changes the way that they hear me, that makes them want to be as comfortable and confident doing it. And they recognize that that can be a game changer for them. So I think modeling and practicing what you preach, no matter what your role is, I think is really mission critical. Um, the second thing that I think is really important for people nowadays to be successful, especially in this current COVID world, is to have a good online video presence. Because no matter what your industry, no matter what your role, no matter what your company is, we can't meet in person. We eventually will be able to get back to more in-person meetings. But right now, this is your brand. This is how people know you. This is your image and reputation that will stick in people's memory. So I think most people wish they could have a little disclaimer, maybe instead of their name at the bottom of the window, they want a disclaimer that says, I just want you to know that if you met me in person, you'd be impressed. Just want to put that out there. So, whatever you're about to experience with me right now, just, trust that I'm actually better than this. A year ago, that might have been okay. Not now, not anymore. So you really have to up your game to make sure your light, your sound, your presence, your posture, your ability to command the screen is as good as your ability to command the room. And if you don't translate that effectively, you're really going to miss the mark and leave money, power, and influence on the table. So I think that's something that people are missing frequently nowadays.
One more.
And one more, let's see. When in doubt, find a good business coach or executive coach, or at the very least, a mentor. But whether you are at the top of the org chart in a huge corporation like Comcast or Kaiser Permanente or whatever it happens to be, who have been terrific clients, you still need to have someone to help you get clear on the vision and the direction for execution, et cetera. And if you're a smaller entrepreneur or a smaller business, whatever it is, having somebody help you figure out what your strategy is going to be, your path to execution, et cetera. Get a coach to help you see that. Because again, I'm not a business developer. That's not my world. I'm the expert, but I need somebody else to help me with the structure. There's working in the business and working on the business. And you have to have somebody teach you to work on the business so that you can continue to do what you love. And that's been hugely helpful for me as well.
100% agreed on this one, definitely. So how the growth hacking secrets community, people are watching this right now or maybe in future, how they can support you?
Thank you. The best thing that you can do, number one, of course, is go to either iTunes or to the website that's right there, which is speakingtoinfluence.com. And there are links in there for both the podcast itself and all of the different iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, however you like to listen, as well as for the book that is related, which is Speaking to Influence as well, which is over on this side. And that's available on Amazon. But if you do, especially with iTunes, please like and share it, and 5-star ratings and reviews are always extremely helpful. Subscribe and download, of course. And then if you are interested in making sure that your virtual presence is as commanding, as confident, as authoritative, as effective as your in-person presence is, then I would invite everybody out there also to go to virtualinfluence.today. And virtualinfluence.today is my online course that takes you through all of your personal and professional branding to identify what you need to do to make sure that what people see and hear in this world here really projects exactly what you want to project to make sure that you get the results that you want.
Here is the good news. This virtual world is here to stay. Okay, in person we won't be meeting that much in person in future. I'm just predicting almost, because the way the things are going right now, even a year, 2 years from now, because this is not going anywhere in like a permanently, like, hey, we should go back to the old normal. This is the new normal, adapted. So this is why I'm saying all this. Your course is very important. The speaking, start listening. I would say take the first step, speakingtoinfluence.com. Start listening to Laura more frequently and listen to most of our past episodes, so that way that give you the desire to look forward to the next one always, And thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate it very much, and I'm sure love it. I'm going to watch this one at least 3 times, because I know there's so many gems in this one. I'm a student mentally. I want to learn. So we are about to wrap up. I like to have your quick feedback on your experience as being a guest on the show. And I usually ask this question: what would you say to your best friend about growth hacking secrets guest experience when I'm not there?
I think this is a great show to watch, because you get the best of the experts out there in 15-minute sound bites that provide so much value in what they're offering. I was hooked when I watched the interview you had not too long ago with Chris Voss from Black Swan, who's one of my favorite authors. And there's so many other thought leaders who you have each and every time as your guests. They're all absolutely worth catching. So don't miss it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it very much. What would you say as a final word, Laura?
To you, I say thank you for the invitation and for sharing these success secrets with everybody else, because everyone needs what you are sharing, and mine is just a little piece, and I'm thrilled to be able to offer it. So thank you, and to everybody else who has tuned in, thank you for listening, and I welcome all feedback. So please feel free to visit me on social media at LinkedIn, or you can check out the website, which is vocalimpactproductions.com, and that's this one over here. For more about services or to connect with me directly.
Wonderful. My last word is speakingtoinfluence.com. Go and check that out. Thank you so much, Dr. Laura Sicola.